So, okay, but this should be good. Should be good. Should be good. Good. Yeah, welcome everybody. Let's see what we are going to do today. So, let's maybe also make a small announcement on Twitter. Yeah, this actually sounds good, right? Prime Agent does it right. What are we going to do? So basically we will try to use some CSS grid, we will try to do some infinite scroll. Now let's do a hashtag, right? Live now. Sorry for that. Let me quickly see. So that's Twitch, my channel. So yeah, we want to play around. Copy that. So we actually want to play around a bit with Angular query. So we already played around with Angular query, but yeah, I want to try some new stuff, right? So let's get started. So, okay. So what we want to do is npx ng-new, and we want to generate a new project. How do we call it? Let's just call it animalist. We won't need Angular routing. So we generate a brand new Angular project, right? Okay, come on. Yeah, okay, we have it. So we started. Yeah, come on. Right. So the project is actually started on port 4200. So let me open up the code in an IDE. File, open, bring that here, documents, code. We called it animalist, right? And it's opening up on the wrong screen, so it's let me bring that over again. Let me bump the font size. Font 26. We will go with font size 26, right? Okay, that makes sense. Good, so let's see what we will do here. So my idea is I found this GraphQL API that allows us to query some anime data, right? And my idea is to use that to build some sort of infinite scroll and to use Angular query. That's kind of the idea. So let's go ahead and adjust our app component. So we can actually keep the header. I kind of like the header. Nah, it's all inline. Let's go with a brand new header. So let's go inside here and we will generate a new component. So we call it header.component.ts, right? It's a component. Header, so template is basically very simple, right? It's just a div, and we also need a flag, standalone true. Probably we need some style. Right. We go here, styles. Brandon Roberts. Oh, Brandon, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Brandon. Thanks, Brandon. So yeah, for everybody that is new, first of all, again, thank you, Brandon Roberts. For everybody that is new, today I want to play around. So we already made a stream of Angular query, right? But today I want to play around with Angular query even a bit more. So I found this GraphQL API that returns some anime data, right? And what I actually want to try out, because I saw that Angular query yeah, it's the Engineer project. Let me bump the font a bit. I saw that Angular query also has this infinite query, right? And I want to see if I can use this to implement some sort of pagination or some sort of infinite scroll. Also, I've never done an infinite scroll. I've not used GraphQL too much. I know what GraphQL is and how it works. Haven't really used it. So I'm curious how it goes. So background color, let's just use, I don't know, something like this. Again, we use a standalone component. We should probably also use it, right? That would make sense. So we have the header component, and not in the declarations, it's a standalone component, right? Right. So we have our header, which is there. It's a bit small. Yeah, but I actually don't want to lose too much time on the header. But let's go with, I don't know, 70 probably. So we have this as the header component, right? New follower, welcome everybody. Yeah, then inside our app component, what we will do is we will add some sort of container, right? Also, everybody that is now joining, what were you doing with Brandon? Were you taking a look at analog? So we give it a min height of 100 view height, and we give it a background color of dark slate gray, and then we adjust it to some other color, right? Yeah, something like this. Not perfect, but it's okay. Good. Now what I want to do is actually sorry that I'm eating here at the same time, but I'm very hungry. We're trying to use wheat in NX monorep. Okay, cool. That sounds cool. Analog Angular NX, cool. Yeah, that sounds really cool. Brandon is probably the best guy on earth to do such kind of stream, right? Yeah. So now what I want to do is basically I want to display a grid of this basically I want to display those images, so each anime has like a preview image, right? But let's maybe first start out with the grid. So as I mentioned in the description, we will have some CSS grid. So we call this grid, right? So we will say display grid. And now how many grid columns, how many grid cells do we want? Maybe we want to have something like this, and then probably it probably makes sense to have something like this, right? So 4 cells and let me okay, I cannot copy everything, but probably something like this, like a grid with 4 cells and maybe 3 rows, 3 or 4 rows, all of them. Hi Thomas. Thomas, I have a funny story. Like so today we had like a drink after work, right? And I was staying there till the end with Nicholas, and yeah, when we wanted to leave, the whole building was closed. So basically the front doors were shut, the badge stopped working, like we couldn't leave the building, and it was pretty fun because we had to call the security to lead us out of the building. Same problem, okay. Even underground, yeah. Yeah, we also had to go through the parking, but without the help of the security guard or the security, we would not be able to leave. Yeah, we also left through the parking. I thought I had to sleep there. Okay, the badge still worked. Yeah. It's crazy. Okay, so let's say we have grid template rows, so let's go with repeat for 1 fraction, right? Probably the same for the columns. Night in Mobi, yeah. I thought I refactored the whole UX framework, right? Okay, so this should be like a grid with 4 items, right? So let's call this, to visualize it, let's just call it grid item. And let's say for each one Yeah, so we have some elements. And it looks like some are bigger, but they are actually not bigger. It's just because we don't have a gap in the grid. So if you say grid gap of 50 pixels or something, all right, then we get the gap. So now it would be cool to have our grid kind of centered. Let's say like margin left auto, margin right auto. So we have a centered grid. And then we say yeah, 500 is too much, and also not I mean, this is not the most beautiful CSS, but yeah, whatever. Also padding, usually you write it with 2 Ds, right? So we have this grid, and now probably this will be images, right? So let's say so this would be 100% and the height as well, I guess. Yeah, the height we have to kind of leave. So those we will fill up with images. But of course our images, maybe the grid should be a bit smaller. We need more templates, more cells. So let's go with 8 maybe. It's a better grid then, I would say. So let's see. Okay, so we have 8 and now probably what we want to do is we want to span the first one, for example, across 2 columns, all right, and then two cells. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. I'm not yet sure how we can make like so the grid area, either we go with grid area or we go with grid column would be 1, span 2, right? Something like that. So our first one goes over 2, and then we also have to do the same for the row. 1 span 2, right? Isn't it height 100%? I thought it's stretch. Because that should actually grid row 1. Span 2 should actually work, right? Let's check the grid. No, it doesn't go over 2. Let's see. Grid area. So we have 1/2, no, 1, I just think, /3/3, I think. Okay, it's exactly the same. Somehow it doesn't span over 2, right? On the rows. I think it's because of the height. Yeah, of course, if it's 500 pixel, then that's the min height. But still, it should span across to which it does. So, basically it's justify items, align items, I think. And then of course I cannot. I thought that this would work. So what if I have like a height of 100 pixels, right? So that's then the height of each element. And if I do align items, so that center, now you see it goes, so that's probably because it's spread over 2 columns, right? Not view page source, but like, yeah, because you see that's 2 columns, right? So it's actually centered. So I'm curious why start works. Let's see. It's vertically. Yeah, justify content should be like justify content just centers the grid, right? Right, to justify content just centers the grid within its cell. Yeah, stretch. But I thought it's align items, because align items is like the vertical axis, right? And I thought this would stretch the items, and the align items also works. Like if I do center, then it kind of centers it in the middle. You can apply it on the item, yeah, but then probably align self, right? But the problem is that then I have to remove the height, and if I remove the height, then that stuff is gone. So I actually would want to have it on the whole grid. But I'm curious why. Yeah. Do I have to set width and height here? I don't think so, right? And no. So let's go min height 200 pixels. Okay, that works. So if we give it a min height, then it works, right? So yeah, so we have this grid. We have the grid of, how many rows did we have? Like 8, 8 I think we did, or 8, 4. No, 8, 8, 8, 8, right? So we did, yeah, 8, 8. Okay, good. So let's go ahead and add a second one. And the second one will probably take like, will be a bit bigger. right? So on the second one, we will probably have a grid area that starts at 3. No, it starts at 1, goes to 3. Then here probably 4. And here probably 6, right? So this would be the second one, which is like much bigger. I don't like that it's... Let's do it maybe like this. Then let's add, what do we want to add as next? Maybe one like this, but a bit offset. So let's go ahead. I don't know if we should do it with template areas. Maybe template areas would make more sense, since it kind of gives us a visualization of how we want to align the items. Just thinking if... Yeah, maybe we do it with template areas, right? Because this is not so readable. So let's redo that. So let's go grid template. And what we want to do here is first we want to generate our rows, right? So we have, we go like this, like one fraction. I just want to have one. Isn't it like this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And then we go like the columns. We have one fraction, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? What is tissue here? I think it works like this, right? So this should have the exact same grid. Can't I? Okay, does this need to be like in one row? Because that wouldn't be cool. Let me see. Yeah, so we have a grid, but we have less, right? It's not really 8, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. I thought it's like this. So it's just like this, right? Without... Yeah, now we are back to our grid. So we have an 8-column grid now again. So that looks good. Okay, cool. So now what we want to do, we want to create areas, right? So since we have 8 columns, let me refactor this a bit. I know we could use Tailwind, but we can also do it natively, right? Good. So for those of you who are not familiar with the grid template syntax, so this basically defines our rows. So we say we have like 8 rows and we have 8 columns basically. We cannot use repeat here. Like we could do it like this. Repeat 8, one fraction, right? So we could use it like this, so the grids should still work. But the problem is once you start to use grid areas, which we will use, then you cannot use this anymore. So what we will do here is, let's maybe first draw our grid, what we want to do. So let's say 1, 2, okay, I need to go for another drawing tool. Oh my god. No. This. Yeah, let's see. Maybe I can duplicate. This is not really a grid, right? Oh, sorry. This is painful. This is painful to watch, right? This is painful to watch. But yeah. Okay, good. Anyway, so let's get. So let's say we have this grid of like. I should actually do 8, right? Oh. We will get there. We will get there. Yeah. Let's maybe go with. Let's maybe just go with 4 rows. Maybe just go with 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, what we anyway want to do, so now like let's change the color. So let's go to red. So we want to display like the first. So the first image will be will going over those 2, right? Then the second one we probably want to have a bit larger. Then maybe the third one we want to have here. Then the fourth will be, I don't know, again a small one on the top. And then maybe here again another one. And another one here. Maybe something like this, right? So we would define a couple of areas, right? So this would be like, this would be the top left. So we call this TL. This would be the bottom left. So we call this BL. Top right. Bottom right, right? Then we call this left center. This comes from football, kinda. You have the left tackle, right center. And we call this right center. Something like this. So what we can do now is we can say we have the top left, which takes like, I did it wrong, sorry. Again, since we have 8, no, we have 8 columns, it's correct. So we have the top left, which takes 2 columns, right? Then we have the left center, which takes 2 columns. Then we have the right center. And now here we don't have something at the top, so we just do a dot. Then we have the top right and the top right, right? So let's go and do that for the second row. We still have top left, left center, yeah. And then here we have a right center, and still a top right. Then on the next row, we have a bottom left. We have a bottom left. We have still the left center. We have still right center and we have bottom right. And here we have bottom left, and here we have a dot, right center we have a dot, right? Because there's nothing. Let me maybe also, then bottom right, right? So those are our template areas. Now what we can do is we can create top left grid area, top left, right? Did we call it bottom left grid area, bottom left? Then we have grid area top right. Top bottom. That makes sense, right? Top bottom makes perfect sense. Top bottom. Bottom right, this would be bottom right, and then we have still the center ones. So we have left center. And then we have RC. This one we don't need. Good. So those are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 elements. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So we remove those 3 and we say this one is the right? Right center. So it doesn't look yet correct. I don't think there's a comma needed. I think this was actually correct. Top left, top left. So that should actually be like... yeah, we have way too many rows. No, we have 8 columns, we have 4 rows. It makes... Yeah, you see the grid? It's correct. So those two are correctly placed. This is probably also correct. The right center is actually also correct. So you applied top left twice. Thank you. Yeah. And then there is one thing. Same for bottom left, bottom right, right? So we get our grid. So maybe we can say that our grid has like also a that's probably a bit too much, right? Let's maybe go like 80% or something, but not 80. That's still too bad. Still a bit too much. Yeah, something like this. I mean, I think this one would be cooler if it's... If this is down, probably. Yeah, like, we could play around with this. So let's just say we want the RC to go one down as well. So maybe something like this, or... Yeah, I'm not yet sure. I'm not yet sure. But anyway, what we actually now want to do is... let me click to see what's jumping there. Yeah, so what we now want to do is kinda, when we scroll, maybe we can even do like a static one, where we just say like we load another grid, right? So let's just here go and add a quick button, where we say load more. So this is the ugly button, right? And we would just say like, I'm not yet sure if this is the way to go. Let's quickly see. We need something that is iterable, right? Whatever. So we push a 1, it doesn't matter. Maybe there's a better way. I'm not 100% sure. But here we just on click we just say push grid. So we add another grid on the bottom, right? We add another grid on the bottom. Engagement. Yeah, you can use calc 100 UI minus header and padding. That's actually a good point, right? So here we would do minus header, which is, how much did we do the header? 70. Minus 50, right? Yeah. Then we load another one, which probably shouldn't have padding, right? So we should probably have like grid dot, how is it, first child? Padding top was also something else, right? Padding top is, I don't know why I did 50. Let's go with 150, and then let's also write something like this. Yeah, so that looks good. So we load more. Okay, we need some sort of padding, right? Because otherwise it's getting... I'm also curious if you maybe want to spin out then later like multiple grids that are a bit different. But let's see, so let's still say that this has a... Yeah, probably a margin top. Margin outside, yeah, margin top. Margin top. 50 pixels, right? So now we have it. Good. Yeah. So I'm not yet fully convinced if this is the final grid or not, because I don't like these gaps here somehow. Let's see, because it would be kind of cool to spit out multiple grids. We could do it if we prepare them first, but I now want to focus also on calling some data, right? So to basically call data, we have to, so I want to use this API. It's basically on an anime list API, right? And I've also kind of prepared the thing for the pagination. So we can say we have a query and we want to have the media with site URL and actually also a cover image, right? I think so. I think we want to have a cover image. Media, so site URL is actually not really needed. So what do we have here? I don't know how. Media, right? I think there is something like a cover image. So let's say we want to have the large one and we also want to have the medium one, right? So this would give us back a anime with an English title. We don't need the native title. We don't want to display the native title. Yeah, and some description, right? Maybe something like this. And so we have the page as a query. So page 1, and we call items per page. How many things were we displaying, right? We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So we would say 6. Sorry if it's small, but we will, yeah, so 6 items per page. So let's try to kind of get this data in our frontend. To do so, I think we could use something. I think, again, I'm not the big GraphQL user. I haven't used it too much. But I think we could use Apollo. I think there's also ng Apollo, which is probably just a client. But I think from what I've seen, this is pretty overkill. Isn't there like Angular? Because you have to configure quite some stuff and it's just a request, right? So I think we don't really need a third-party library. I think we can do it ourselves. So let me just go ahead and create a new graph. I just call it graph service, right? I go with add injectable. Of course, it's provided in root. So it's a graph service, right? And since we want to do like HTTP request, of course, we have to implement, or we don't have to implement, we have to use the HTTP client. All right. So if we want to use the HTTP client, we have to go and import it. Right? So we have to import it and then we add a public query function, and that query function returns an observable, and probably, I mean, we can make it generic, right? If we want to. We can also just, for this example, go with any, but generally you would make it a generic. And this query function takes in actually the thing that we need for actually the things that we see here. Let me make that a bit bigger. So basically this is the query, right? And then variables. So we would take in the query, which is of type string, and then variables, which are actually optional, and it's just this I get often wrong, right? It's any value, and if it's undefined, so if we don't pass in anything, we just we just have a empty object, and then inside here what we will do is with GraphQL, I think these are post requests, right? Just correct me if I'm wrong. And we will post to backend URL. Let me quickly copy. I think it's, how's it called? Yeah, it's this one actually. Alright, so we post this, and now of course we have to pass in some query body. So we have to send our query, of course, and our variables, right? So probably just query. Something like this, I would say. And then we pipe it and we map the response that we get, and we just return the response data. Yeah, this probably we have to type as, what is this actually? So maybe he could infer the type. What is, so on post we would usually say what the type is, right? And this is data of type T, but probably right, then makes more or less it makes sense. You know what doesn't make sense? To create a empty backend URL variable and then still use a hard-coded value down here. That's just something for the real brains, right? Something like this probably. Sounds. Hello, this is a GET request. Probably. I'm not sure actually. I think with GraphQL it's a post. It's a post. We will try this post. If it doesn't work, or let's try both. Let's try first a post and then we will see if the GET works, right? So let's go to our app component. So let's use the, okay, let's go. I like the spirit, yeah. Good, graph service. We have the graph service and we call it animes stream, which is equal to this dot graph service dot query, right? And now here we go. So that would be our query. So I think that should be the thing from here. Copy, and maybe we should write it correctly. Query, something like this, and then variables. It's actually the page 1 per page 6. Alright, something like this. And this would be our anime stream, which we of course want to use inside here. Let's just let's just quickly uncomment that, because we will later then fill it up with the grid. So let's just add a pre. Inside here we add our anime stream, we add a async pipe, and we drop in a sweet JSON pipe, and we say that our pre, whoa, that our pre has a color which is white, right? Because otherwise we cannot really see it. Good, so let's see what that does. So we get data, right? We get data. So that's pretty neat. So it seems like the post request, oh, something happened to my music. Sorry for that. Music should be back, yeah, good. So it seems like the post request worked, right? But as promised, we will now also try that if the get works. I don't think so, because I think with GraphQL this has to be a post request, because how would you then on the get can you specify options there on the get? I'm not sure. Why is it now query? Yeah, no overload matches this call. I think it doesn't compile with the get even. Yeah. So this has to be a post unless I'm doing something wrong, but I think it has to be a post. Good. So we get this data, right? And what we actually want to do with the data is, of course, we don't want to use it like this. So we want to go through here. Let's just maybe start with one grid. Okay, this is still the same. So let's go here and actually, now it's the question, how do we get those different classes applied? Because what we can do is, of course, we can come here and let me see. So we can do a image. And the source of that image, we just loop over those images. The async pipe, and it's anime dot what was the data again? I don't remember how the structure looks like. It's coming back, sorry. So let's see, let's quickly go here. Let's go to our app component. And yeah. Console log, right? So we get an object, we get a dot page, media. So it's actually okay, it's page.media, which is an array, right? So what we should actually do is ng4 let anime of animes oh god, come on, dot page dot media, and then we say, what does it, cover image? No, it's gone again. But we have it here, we have it here. Cover image dot large. Maybe I should do it differently because this is kind of stupid, right? Yeah, okay, the typings, yeah. So this is any. And then we just say reading media. Okay, cannot read data of undefined. Isn't it? Ah, you used lower. Oh, oh, thank you. You guys are like, you see everything. That's so cool. Like, thanks a lot. Sam, is it Sam Sonerson? Sam Sonerson. It's not the first time you saved me today. Yeah. So we see that we get like we get images from animes, right? Which is kind of cool. And now, of course, they just fill in the grid because we still loop inside the grid, but we still have our other stuff that takes the place, and then in the grid, implicit columns get created, right? So actually what I wanted to have here is kind of something like this. So yeah, that would be just 6 animes. Now, basically what we want to do, Samson Orson. Okay, cool. Samson Orson. Yeah, now the question is, how do we apply the classes, right? Because we have to kind of do like top left. But what we can do is probably, I'm just thinking what would be the best way to approach this. So we could define those predefined spots and just put the images inside there. I'm not sure if that's the way to go. Or we could somehow kind of map the images with our classes. Maybe that would be better. I think that would probably be better. So that we kind of have each image. So we have the media, all right? And then what we would do is like, we can use the RxJS map operator in the service. Yeah, we could. But what I don't like about it is basically that I would kind of put my classes, which are specific to the component, I would kind of put it in a service, and I would rather have the map operator here, right? Because I don't want to put like view logic into the service. But yeah, the map operator, I think it's a cool idea. So let's see. So we would do like top left. What else do we have? We have bottom left, right center. Left center. Bottom right, right. So those are our class lists. And now we basically have to kinda are we guaranteed that we have like per page 6, right? This is kinda guaranteed. So we could also have our class list emitting as a stream. So that would be, let me see, that's from, right? From emits an array as single values and off just emits the whole thing, right? So we could have from, I think. And what we could do is no, that doesn't work. That doesn't make sense, sorry. Okay, so we have the media. We get the media, right? So we get media. And inside here we just map, we go, so media is actually an array. So we map each media, let's just call it M, and we map it to some object where we have like the class or just the media, which is M, and then the class, right? And the class itself would be on map. I think we also get index on map, right? Is there index? Index. Index, and we would say this dot grid class list at index, something like this, right? And then what we would do is like right? What is the issue? Is class actually a reserved? I don't think it's the issue, it's just media map. Would be good to return it. We actually don't need this bracket. Something's a bit off. You can see it as media position. Yeah, we could see it as media position. I still think it's component logic, but why is it now off? Probably because those images don't have like a width or something. So like that's probably something we need to set on the image, right? Yeah, so then maybe we do like some object fit cover, right? So we get some animes displayed as a list. I'm not yet sure if the list is is the best the way it is. But yeah, now the next thing would be to basically load more. Top 3 anime. Top 3 anime, if you check the wall here, of course, top anime is One Piece, right? then we have Naruto, and then we have Hunter x Hunter. Also One Punch Man makes it almost to the top 3. Yeah, Death Note is also up there, but I would say if I have to go for 3, One Piece for sure, Hunter x Hunter, and yeah, then it's hard. Probably Naruto. Hard to say. What are your top 3 animes? That I would be curious. Demon Slayer I haven't watched yet. What editor is that? So that is WebStorm, and basically I am using a custom theme that I created myself, which is called Skull. That's the editor I'm currently using. Yeah, maybe for movement I use emulated Vim. I love Vim, but I haven't gotten yet to the point where I can embrace Vim fully by just going like, I mean, I could also go like this, right? Isn't it? So here, this is basically, if I would go like fully on Vim, it would look something like this, right? Why don't? So then I would basically only move here, and this would be like full Vim, right? It's kind of IDE only in the editor, but yeah, I don't feel comfortable with this yet. Thanks, man, for inspiring me. I thought about quitting. Quitting what? Are we still talking about anime or something else? Programming. Okay. Why would you want to quit? I guess then you are probably new, or like, what's the reason for quitting? Yeah, so on load more, we probably have to load like more. I've been coding for 5 years, okay, that's interesting. And like, so you don't like it, or you don't like it anymore, or like, why do you think you should quit, or why? Yeah. Let's see if we load more. So currently if we load more, of course we get like just a new grid, right? So we have to probably do like some more mapping. So the first thing that we have to do is to actually call like, so this is our anime stream, right? It's watching you code. Wow, that is one of the biggest compliments you can kind of give me, because that's so motivating to do those streams. If I can inspire somebody, that's like epic. Thanks a lot for that. Yeah, so now what we have to do is kind of we can either, so basically the whole idea was to use Angular query, right? So let's maybe try to use Angular query, because we could now basically have a subject. Sorry, I'm new here to the Switch chat. Yeah, you're welcome. Everybody's welcome to chat here on the chat, chat on the chat. Yeah, what we could do, we could fire off a subject, which basically then goes and fetches, so changes this page variable, goes and fetches the second part, and then kind of streams that also. That's something we could do, but we wanted to use Angular query, right? And also, I quickly have to pee, and I have to grab something to drink. So I'm coming right back. Yeah, see you in a minute. Okay, good. Yeah, so, yeah, Angular query, right? Let's see, so we can add it by npm install it. For those of you who have never heard of Angular query, I've made a stream about it, but the idea basically is it's inspired by React query. Yeah, this is something for caching, yeah, exactly. That's exactly the idea behind it. So basically, it's similar concept to the 10. So I think this comes from the 10 stack. You have Angular query. So you have React query actually, and I think you also have it for other frameworks. But there's also an Angular adapter. And the idea, yeah, is that you cache stuff. So you call something from the backend, then you cache it, and you cache it based on a key. And then whenever you do like another backend request, you don't. So for example, if you do it with NGRX, you would do a backend request, you would get something, you would put it in your state, and then you would basically use that client state, right? But here it's kind of a cache, so you just say fetch something from the backend, it's cached, and whenever you do like a refetch or when you do a post, then you just say please invalidate the cache of this post, and then he refetches it under the hood automatically. So it's a pretty cool thing, and I've only used it, yeah, here on stream I've used it to implement some basic stuff, but yeah, let's see how we can use it here, because this is a bit more advanced. So let's see, where was, so we just installed it, and now I'm curious how we can combine it with our graph service actually. What is a good framework for JS? I know basics. So yeah, so I would say when you start, I would for sure first learn the basics of JavaScript, how it works, HTML, CSS, so that you can build basic websites, and then kinda, yeah, what is a good framework to start? I kinda like Svelte. Because with Svelte, I think you are not too far away from like from some of the basics, because in Svelte what you would do, let me write some pseudo code. So if we would have no, I don't want to have a new JS file, I want to have a Scratch file. So in Svelte what you would kind of do, right? You write your HTML like h1 for example, and then inside here you want to have like a hello variable, right? The way you would do it in Svelte, a component is just this. Or like even, if I remember correctly. So that's basically how you do it in Svelte. If you want to add styles, you just do style, right? And then you do h1 and you add your style sheets. So it's pretty close to standard. There are then some advanced concepts that come in, but this is basically pretty close to standard stuff. And therefore I think Svelte is pretty cool, because you don't have to write about component specifics, right? About everything else, because you can quickly, easily get started and start to use component. I'm not a big user of React, therefore I cannot tell you, maybe React is also easy, but I think Svelte would make sense to get started. It's also very popular in terms of usage, but if you compare this to what you would need to do for the hello example in Angular, you would need to do this, right? Then you would need to do a selector for your hello component. Then you have the template, which is like h1 hello. No, that would actually be something like this. Export class hello component. Can I type? And then you would do like hello equals hello, and then you have to decide if this is either a standalone component or not. Depends on, then you are already starting to dive into a bit of the concept, what is standalone, what isn't standalone. So I think Svelte is pretty good for starting, I would say. Because this is kind of, when you come from JavaScript, you can kind of grasp what this is, right? Out of the box. So I think Svelte is kind of cool. But yeah, maybe somebody in the chat has like a different opinion on that. So now, yeah, we have our graph service. So let's call this a new file. I don't know if we need two services yet. Maybe we need, I'm not sure. Let's call this anime service. And it gets a constructor. So what do we want to do? We want to call like a list, right? So we just want to use query. So we inject, we don't use the HTTP client, right? I'm not good at design. Yeah, like design is also something that is, it's like objective, subjective, sorry. So I think design is something you get better once you start building stuff. You will get better and better. So we use query, right? We inject use query from Angular query. And then what we want to do is we say a public. I like to still use public keyword for everything that is kind of public. So the implicit public, I kind of came up with this convention for myself. I don't know if it's like a good convention or not, but I kind of use the implicit public only if something is template public in components, right? Whenever something gets called from another service or another class, I use the explicit word, and then in components, I don't use it. So basically, whenever I have a component, let's say I would have something like grids, right? This is used inside the template, or push grid. This is a method that gets called from the template. Therefore, I leave off the public keyword. But if I would have something that I expect to be called once somebody gets a hold of it by a view child, I would do like public, for example, a focus. Some function that I expect to get called from the outside, I would do public here, right? It's kind of convention I like to use. So get enemies, which is a, again, it's let's wait with this, and inside here we will use this to use query, right? And use query takes like, the first thing is the key. Seldom code, good plan, explicit, public, etc. Also coming up with a performance virtual infinite scroll with items of varying sizes. Seems difficult. Yeah, that's actually true. That's true. I'm also not sure how far we can go here. And now, because I'm kind of also mixing technologies together that I've never used, so I'm also here a bit outside of the comfort zone. But yeah, that's fun, right? Unless I fail hard, and maybe it's not so fun. Yeah, and inside here we will probably then use our graph service, right? Graph service, so we call it graph service. All right, and on the graph service, So everything that we have now inside our app component, I don't know if this still belongs here. Probably not. Probably everything that is here now kind of goes. But then we have again this discussion with the view logic. Or let's just take it away like this. So maybe I kind of do it like this. Anime list query, right? So we just call it anime list query. And then everything. I think. So get animes. I just want to refactor that because otherwise I think it's pretty hard to read. Anime list query, right? So we have the variables which we pass in and we map the response, and then what is the use query doing, right? It's just setting this as a cached item. Do you prefer injecting depths with inject function some props compared to using constructor? I personally still use constructor injection, but there are some use cases where I would use the inject function. And one, for example, is when you get dependency injection. So via injection token, whenever you have an injection token, I think if you use constructor injection, then the type is lost, right? And I think if you use dependency injection with inject, then you still have the correct typings. I actually made a video, or I made a video where I summarized it pretty nicely. Like, I made a video, I think, and I don't remember everything. But there was something like Angular inject, yeah. So this is basically the video where I go through. I can paste it in the chat, but there I think there is basically. Inheritance was also something where I kind of like, inheritance was another use case, because when you have inheritance, right, and you change something, then you have to also adjust all the child classes, right? But with inject not. So there are, and here is basically let me see. There is an example of a injection token where you use the type. So you have some injectable platform ID, window as window, and is this even playing? Yeah. So you do like inject, which you do with an injection token, window. Yeah, and now if you do window, you could also do string, right? If you do it in constructor, so this would not complain, right? You can do string and it would be okay. But if you use it the injection token, it will complain actually. So those are two scenarios where I would use it. For everybody that wants to check it out, maybe without the time. So feel free to. Did I paste? Yeah, so feel free to check that video out. But that's basically the summary when I would use it. I thought I also written about it, but no. Okay, so we add this as an animus keys, right? And now basically we can start using it inside our component, hopefully. It would also be cool to kind of have the dev tools then. That's something I want to show you later. So that's also cool. So when we use the ng query, Angular query, we get like an object that has loading and error on it. So we can display some data right away. So now we have to use it a bit different, right? So our anime, how do we do that? How do we do that? Good. Let me quickly uncomment that so that it doesn't freak out. So we don't no longer get the graph service, we get an anime service, right? Service. We optimize the imports. Get animes, the result stream. And now this result stream, we kinda use and we pipe it. And we map it and we do stuff with it. So now, result stream. It's the question if we also want to have the loading. I'm curious. No, we have to use another map, sorry. No, we don't have. We don't have. So I think we get result, right? And inside this result, we probably get the page. But let's just see. Let's just see what we get. Now, so this probably doesn't do anything, right? Because it's not subscribed. So let's do a quick subscribe call and then we get animes, and inside here, okay, here we map it, but this map is probably, this is good. So I would expect that we get the media. Also, let me just instrument the dev tools because that's pretty cool. There are some dev tools, right? Providers, so basically something we would do on Bootstrap application, that's if we have standalone. We don't have standalone in our case, so we just go to providers and we add them here, right? What's happening with my relative line numbers? Okay. So we don't want to do if environment production because we are anyway environment initializer, inject, and this will give us a nice little flower. And we need to install probably ng need query dev tools, right? It's probably a dev dependency. Yeah, it's not really if I add it like this. But if you would do this check, if production, if not production, then it would be left dependency, right? So let's see. Everything is broken. Makes sense, makes sense. All good, all good. What? Yeah, TypeScript, really? So we have our what is the issue? The last overload gave so graph, this basically returns an observable, right? I don't think it has to do with this, or does it? No, it doesn't. Right, so this just returns an observable. It's not with this. Am I using it wrong? So they use the HTTP client, right? Ah, and they... Okay, we have to return this. I'm doing something wrong. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, compiled successfully. So now let's see what we get. Let's see what we get. So you see this flower that we get here? That's the DevTools, and we see that we now have animes, right? So this is basically our cache. So that's pretty cool. So we have a cache, we have 6 items in the cache with cover image, right? All right, that's nice. So what we can do, we can create our new view model. So what comes through here is actually, that's a list of animes, right? I think there's even more. Let's see what the console log logs out, because this is the cache, right? But that's not what comes through our pipe. So because we get like much more. So data is the array that we have in the cache, right? But we get more. We get also error and is loading, for example. So let's say we want to map that. So we want to map that, we get the result, and we say result.data. Now we map it. We map it now into one object, and we say is loading, is result dot is loading, error is result dot error. Then we have the data, and the data is basically what we will do is result dot data. And then we use our map. Whoa. There's one. Something like this. What is the issue that you have an any type here or what? Good. So let's see. So we have enemies. And now inside our app component, maybe it would be cool to also generate a small spinner. A spinner that we want to show in the header, right? That would be cool. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and do like a spinner.component.ts. And I think I already did like one. It's not spinner, it's... Is there like sort last updated, right? Oh, is it this one? Yeah, there's a spinner component, right? That's our spinner component, and we use it as... Is it standalone? It is standalone. So... Alright. So spinner component, not declarations, imports, right? Good, so we have our spinner component, and now we go inside our header component, and we just display inside our header the spinner. And now, since we are in Angular, we can have Angular 15. We can have self-closing tags, right? So this is now display flex. I see my notification. Aha. But here I should enter. Oh. Yeah, but where is my... Wasn't it result data? I mean, I should... I'm a bit confused. What is happening? Because... Do I have to... Maybe because my cache is still there. Like, reset. Remove the whole thing. So it fetches something. I don't get my logs, but I get... What? What? So I would expect that, of course, my console log here, my beloved console log. Yeah, here I get. Because E is probably undefined. Right. Okay, that was actually stupid for me. So maybe I should do it like... Where's my console log? Bloop. Blup. I don't get bloop. Why don't I get bloop? So, okay, I get the tada, which is basically, yeah, data's undefined. Aha, okay. So we have to make that more result data. Yeah, now we get the data, right? Okay, good. Result data. So this is the... Let's do result.data, if we have data, and do it like this. And otherwise, now, which one is the closing? Otherwise an empty array, right? So we can get rid of the tada, we can get rid of everything. Anime stream, right? So that's an anime dot, right? This is the first object. So we have a is loading and an error. So we have is loading false null. So we have data, and then we use media. And we have data, we have a, we don't have, yeah, we have data, data is of course, yeah, that's wrong. Right, that's wrong, because we have like one object with, which has an array of data, that's wrong. So basically what we want, inside here, I want to have something like this probably. So now we have a data. We don't even need just need it like this, right? So we have an array with is loading false. All right, media cover image. So what we would do in the HTML is right, and this is now cached. Also a cool thing is now, you note there on top in the header, so maybe the header has still one styling issue, it's justify content and, but then also align items. And maybe we should do like a padding on the right of, I don't know, 25 pixels, for example. Right? And now you see here, if you pay close attention, we can go and we can invalidate the cache. And once we invalidate, you just check the top right corner. You see how it loads data, right? So he knows he should load data. Also, when we go away and come back, he loads data. I'm curious why the spinner is not yet. Let me just quickly fix the alignment because it looks a bit off. Yeah, you see it looks a bit off. Why does it look a bit off? Maybe let's also make it a bit bigger. Because we have that's why it looks off. Good. So we have our okay, let's change that to 30 pixels again. So the way this works, why the spinner works, because we use Angular query, right? And with Angular query, what we can say is we have use is fetching and use is mutating, which we basically convert into a stream of is fetching. So we merge those two, which we mapped just to a true or false value, right? We don't need this tab here. That is actually wrong. Good. So then we basically have this kind of global information base from Angular query if something is loading or not. And then we just display it. Right? So that's kind of cool. So now we get data, right? And we have it cached. So if you would navigate away and come back, nothing would happen because it's still cached. So we are already like, yeah, we have achieved quite some stuff. So now the next thing would be to use infinite query, right? And I have no idea what this does. Inject the use infinite query provider. So probably the first thing that we want to do before we do that is we actually want to kinda, when we scroll, so currently we do like load more and then we get a second grid, right? So we would want to do that on when we scroll down, and I think there is a library. I think it's called infinite. Maintainer help needed, so if somebody wants to help maintaining it. What Bower install? Okay, Bower still exists. Or is it just like super? Isn't there a package? Is there something from the CDK? I thought there was like NGX infinite scroll, it's called. Yeah, that looks more like it. Yeah, I think it's that one. So, NGX infinite scroll, right? Now, how can we use that? I think this just gives us a callback. Infinite scroll module, right? So we import that. Infinite scroll module. In this example, the on-scroll callback will be invoked when the window is scrolled down. So probably we do this like infinite scroll. I think this is then invisible. I don't know. Let's see. So if we go here, we add this div and we call a on-scroll. And we just add that to our app component. So let's see what we will get here. So we have that scrolled, right? Scrolled. We have a lot of scrolled that are coming through. So what you probably want to do is somehow offset that, because that doesn't make sense. Isn't there like an offset or something? Throttle is 50. Yeah. In this example, the attribute is used to point directive. So probably we do from root search result. I don't care. Okay, 500 is way too much. No, it's okay. So we scroll. But when do we get it? Like, we scroll just a bit. I thought it's like that we get it when we get to the end, right? But do you like WebStorm's new UI? I still didn't get used to it. And have you tried JetBrains Fleet? Yeah, I really like JetBrains new UI. So this is basically JetBrains new UI, right? So everything that I use here is the new UI. I really like it, and I do like it. It looks much cleaner, like less cluttered. The old one was really cluttered, I think, and yeah, the old one was really full of a lot of items. I didn't even knew what they were for. So this looks more like, it looks more a bit like VS Code, I would say. And Fleet I haven't tried yet. I've heard that it's super fast, but once you start to do stuff, you have to install quite some plugins, and I'm not actually sure. For me, like this argument of ID that has a fast startup is like not the main argument for me, because it's okay if I have to wait a bit and therefore get like tons of features. So now I'm curious, should we already load whenever we get scrolled? I don't know if we should. I actually only want to load when we are at the end, right? So how do they do that? Yeah, probably we have to add some. I mean, I'm just curious. If we're doing this on scroll, right? If we do this, we would get so many. So we would come here, we would scroll. That's actually infinite scroll, right? Kinda. But you see, we kinda add too many because the throttle is not high enough. So let's go with 100 probably. Yeah, so this is infinite scroll. Which makes sense, right? Yeah, so this is really infinite. Now, of course, what's happening here is maybe the throttle is still, I think it should be higher. Distance, what is the distance actually doing? Infinite scroll distance. The bottom percentage point of the scroll knob relative to the infinite scroll container is event triggered when 80% has been scrolled. So in example, 2 times 10, 20%. Default is 2. So does this mean 80%? So because I think if I just go like, let me refresh that again. So I just do like a little scroll. You see how nothing happens? Yeah, nothing happens because I don't lock it. Skrpol. So here it shouldn't, right? Shouldn't. And once we hit 80% of the page, it loads. So the first one is already loaded because we kind of have an initial event. And then again, 80%, that's actually good. Good. Now, of course, what we want to do is we want to load like different data, right? So how do we do that? Now, I think that's where our helper comes into play. So currently we already loaded it twice. Can we also somehow, this initial one, immediate check. Yeah, I want to disable the immediate check, I don't like it. So basically, immediate check equals false, right? Now, let's see. So we shouldn't get like any immediate data, and now we get it, right? So that makes sense. So we push a new grid. I think we don't even have to push a new grid. I think we could just load new data, probably. I think so. But yeah, let's see how we can now load new data with Angular query. Where is Angular query? Yeah, so infinite query inject, use infinite query provider in your service using the hook is similar to the official hook, which I have no idea what it's doing, but yeah. Infinite query is rendering lists. Okay, so that seems like it, right? That can additionally load more data. Or infinite scroll. Okay, data is now an object containing infinite query data. So this, by using infinite query, our data will be adjusted. Yeah, so we get data.pages. So this will be infinite query data. Okay. So let's see. So we would use infinite query, right? So that's basically our anime service. Use infinite query. Good. Let's see if that still works, because data should still work, I think. Where is our application? Where is it? Did I close it? I think I closed it. Okay, map does not exist on infinite data. Now what do we get here is like... Yeah. App component. I want to run it actually. I want to run it. This is now an object, right? Alright, it is an object. Now I think everything is just falling apart. Just want to see what I get. Data. This is my... That's from anime service I get, right? Data. Page, media. This still looks the same. This still looks exactly the same. Yeah, because I still... But yeah, this is use infinite query, right? So this looks exactly the same, so why are you complaining? Is it just TypeScript? Let's just put a sweet Annie here. Really? Result data, but what am I getting here? Maybe on the result stream I don't get... Okay, yeah, because one was mapping the data that I actually got from my GraphQL service, right? And this one is something else. Right, because this is now the result stream. So this is actually the thing that I get from Angular query. So now we see result. And on here we have now data, which is now an object, and we have pages. Okay, so we now have pages. It would be cool. So now what we want to do, we want to have like, yeah, we can have pages. Resulted data, so we have to map it differently. Yeah, this was anyways, I think we don't even need the is loading and the resulted error because we kind of globally handle it, right? So we don't need that, but we have now here an array of data, right? And what we want to do is so we still want to have the class name. So that's basically result dot pages. No, it's result dot data dot pages, right? Okay, let's see. So yeah, they are something like this. And then let's go back to our app component. Again, uncomment this. We are getting closer to what we want to achieve. All right. So this is our data, right? So we have media. That's wrong. So class name should be, that's wrong. Yeah, because we map all of them and then we want to get back an object. Wait, let me think. So we get it's late. So we get an array of pages. We go through each array and the pages itself so each page, right? And we map each. Yeah, we actually also want to go and map here. We want to do m.map. Now let's see if I can pull this off without. It should be something like this, right? I don't like that we redefine m, but let's see if the result. Let's call this R. What is the issue? Implicit has any. You really implicit has any type. Okay, whatever. I don't really care too much now about that. Yeah. So now we get. It's an array of arrays of media, right? Good. And now let's see how we can fire off a new request, because so far I think we are kinda okay. So they have a complete example. So now I'm curious, like get next page param, so those callbacks. So how? So they have project as project has next page, fetch next page. Yeah, so scroll end, right? So this is just a directive that they use for subscription, right? And this project's fetch next page. Is that something that is... Aha! I am not sure. So they use project service, right? Project service is probably just yeah, this service. Inside here they use infinite query, and then they have this configuration object. Scroll end. That's just inject of the service, right? They just get the result. Yeah, those are... So where does this come from? Probably this comes from... I would say this comes from the data that we get there. So on the result, fetch next page, right? But now... Okay, I guess... So this returns project.next ID, right? Get projects. Page param. Aha, so okay. Okay, I think I got it. So let's see. Okay, this gets... So we have here like the use query. So let's maybe rename that to use infinite query. Like use infinite query, right? And now what we can have is page param is equal to 0, right? And here we pass in. So we start with 1, right? And now we have to use this config object. So we have return graph service, right? Inside here. So this is the mapping. And then, my God. Inside here we do get next page param. Get next page param, which is just like, I don't know if we have projects.id. We just call it I guess we can start with, let's just go with 1 here, that's good. And then here maybe. Do we also need, but got free? Yeah, that's wrong, because that's not on the graph service, right? That's like one after. Aha, because let me quickly re-add that, because this is now kind of wrapped, right? Return, yeah, so we have projects, and then we have this. Oh my god. So we use infinite query, then there is the key animes, and then there is the page param. This one is the one from the top. Okay, the pipe, of course, comes here. All right. Whoa. Oh, I hate these brackets war like. So now, what we can do on the scroll, we should be able to call fetch next page. Yeah, fetch next page. So we go. So projects, what is projects? Projects is actually the results. So we go inside our component HTML and we have the results in the following way. So we go. So this would be right. We have still the mapping for the class. That's what kind of makes it harder, because now we have the result. I don't know if we can just put here a callback. Probably not, because we. Okay, so the thing is, we need to have a access to the result stream. So probably top level. So we want to map the result, right? And we want to map it to some object that has data, which is actually this one. And we want to have a has, how was it called? Fetch next page. I don't know if this will work. This is the map, right? It's no. Yeah, this is the object that ends. Makes sense, right? Why is everything red here? Let's go back. Let's go back. Okay, let's just say we map this to a data. Let's just... Yeah, this should work, right? I mean... So we return this. And now... Right, what we could do is we could say return an object that has animes. I would say... Now why is everything broken? I don't see it. Like, this is the map. So this is the object. Okay. Good. So we have animes and then we have fetch. You had double parentheses. I don't know how Samson Orson, I don't know what kind of eyes you have, but how could you see that? Like, there's so much parentheses, like, my respect if you saw that. Not bad. Okay. So this would then be like, now what we actually want, now let's see. So we call this, this is no longer true that this is anime. So this is just like anime data or something. I don't know what the good name is. So that would be an array, and then inside there we have arrays, right? So probably here we have $any again. And then inside here we go does this look correct? Okay, something is not good. What do we get here? I think I overmapped it a bit. Overmapped it. Okay, we get animes. Ah, it's a... So animes, it's an array that's... Yeah, it's wrong. It's wrong. Because we have to map it. We have the inner ones. So basically what we want now, okay, now I need your eyes. Unless I do it just right. Did I just do that right? Okay, something's still off. But I thought that this should now return. Undefined, undefined. Why? Oh my god. So one, we get like... Alright, so we get some status. And... Okay, there was data undefined, but here we get some data. So what we actually want to do, we want to map that into some, maybe this would be something that is actually a good case for test driven, right? Actually, if I think about it, that would be a really good case to test, right? I think it would be good. So I'm thinking like if this would be something to do for tomorrow, because currently it's getting pretty late. I'm actually already half an hour over it. So yeah, this is probably something I will do for tomorrow. I'm sorry that we didn't finish the whole application yet, but we are pretty close, I would say. I would say we are pretty close. So then probably tomorrow on stream I will, yeah, write a test for it. Try to finish it. Let's see. Or yeah. Because actually what we want to do is just map this data, right? I would actually want to continue, but it's getting pretty late. Yeah, so we have the 6 pages. And yeah, we actually want to have those. So if we get like multiple pages, then we will probably have like 0, 6, and then the second one 6, right? And for each, so actually we want to have those remapped. And do we even need to remap them? Yeah, because we want to have, actually what we want to have additional information here, which is a class. So why don't we do it here instead of adding a new property? Why not just go through, let's see. So why not just go through the result, the data, then we go through all the pages, right? And we map each page, and in each page we map all the whatever this is, and we return, which is spread m, and we add a class name, right? And with that we shouldn't get undefined, but we get undefined because we just map it, but when we don't return anything. So after the return, after the map, sorry, we should return the result. So this should now give us the same thing, but the data is now actually mapped. So here we should also have a class name, I thought. Why don't we have a class name? I would have expected to have a class name here. Okay, let's definitely do this tomorrow, and let's see how it goes. Okay, so let's see if we can actually rate somebody. I don't know, there's nobody live that I follow actually. So let's see what we have here. Is there somebody doing is there somebody doing Angular? That would be cool. Yeah, that's me. Converting to the dark code. Is there somebody doing some JavaScript? So the CM Griff. Reinventing Photoshop in React, right? This sounds pretty cool. So let's go and rate her. Is she even? Yeah, she's doing some stuff. Why can't I rate? Yeah, so let's go rate her. So I wish everybody like a nice evening. Yeah. Okay, so I hope to see you tomorrow and wish everybody a nice evening. Tomorrow we will continue on this, and yeah, thanks for joining.
Oh my gosh. MD Dev, hello, welcome in everybody. This is not